Hey everybody. This video is quickly going to go over the course project. I want to give you guys just a brief overview of it right from the beginning so you know what we're going to be working towards and what all of the material we cover each week, what the goal is, the end goal with all of this information. So the course project is broken down into 4 parts, okay? And each part leads up to a well-developed, well-researched, properly cited, and appropriately written argumentative research paper. I know it sounds scary, but we're going to be doing a lot of work along the way to get you ready for it, okay? And that's why it's broken down into 4 parts, so that you are kind of forced to start working on it towards the beginning of the quarter and work on it little by little and then submit a final essay towards the end of the quarter. That way, you're saved, hopefully, from trying to do all of this at the last minute, right? Because it can be very daunting. But it will be a persuasive, argumentative research paper, right? It's broken down into 4 parts. When it's time to do each part, you will have an official assignment in that weekly module, and the specific instructions for each project part will be included in that assignment information. So I'm not going to go over the specifics here because you'll get the specifics when the time comes. But project part 1 is all about finding a topic, kind of engaging with your topic a little bit, answering some questions about it, and then coming up with a research plan. All right. It's assigned in week 3, and you have to submit it. Remember, the course project and all of its components are mandatory items. You will submit it, get my feedback, and then you're allowed to move on to project part 2 once it is assigned. Okay? Project part 1, you remember the whole project, the course project is worth 40% of your overall grade, and project part 1 is worth 5% of that 40. Project part 2 is all about your claim and your support. So in this one, you're going to be coming up with your claim, with your thesis statement, or at least a working thesis statement. You're going to figure out what type of claim it is. You're going to list several reasons why you support your claim, which are kind of like your main points, right? And then you're also going to list a few different sources that you plan on using in the essay. You're not doing anything with those sources yet. You're just giving me the information of the sources. So you kind of have to start looking for your sources, but you don't actually have to start figuring out exactly what information you're going to use from each one. Project part 2 is assigned in week 6. And just like part 1, you have to submit it. It's a mandatory item. You have to get my feedback on it before you're allowed to move on to part 3. And it is worth 5% of the overall 40 that the course project is worth. Project part 3 is the rough draft of the essay. All right, so all of the work that you did in part 1 and part 2, combined with everything that we've learned throughout the quarter, you will attempt a rough draft of the essay. At this point, you will need to be actually incorporating the source material from the sources you listed in project part 2. Project part 3 is assigned, the rough draft is assigned in week 9. You have to do it. You have to get my feedback. And then you can move on to part 4. And part 4 is, of course, the final draft of the essay. It's going to be assigned for homework in week 10. So that means you have to submit it no later than that Thursday of week 11. Technically, the due date will say, the end of week 10, but obviously I can't accept any work after that final deadline of that Thursday in week 11. So make sure that you're working on each of these project parts when they're assigned, and don't let yourself fall too far behind on any of them, because it will be much more difficult towards the end of the quarter to accomplish all of these items, receive my feedback on each one before you can even move on to the next one, and then getting that final draft polished and ready to submit before the close of the quarter. And remember that the final draft, project part 4, is worth 25% of that overall 40. Again, you're going to get much more specific instructions on each of these parts when the time comes, but I just wanted you to know right away what all of this that we're doing in the quarter, what it's all working towards, right? It's not working towards a final exam that's like multiple, things like that, multiple choice or whatever. It is, it's working towards essays, right? But more importantly, it's working towards creating strong, persuasive, well-supported, well-researched arguments. So I hope you guys have fun with it. I hope you can find topics that you're interested in and that you really want to write about. That's probably the funnest part of this class, is that you get to write a paper about your opinion about something and try to convince us to agree with you. And the possibilities are endless, the types of topics that you could choose for this. So I hope you guys have fun with it. But just keep in mind that this is what we're working towards throughout the quarter, and you will receive much more specific instructions for each part when it comes. And if you have any questions about any of it right now, let me know.